Hey there folks. Right, let's get myself set up here. I have not done anything pipe related, and particularly not a tobacco review, I don't think, for absolutely flipping ages. But I thought I'd change that today. So I'm going to do a review, and you'll tell by the title of this what it's about. But basically I got turned onto this, cheers by the way, turned onto this recently by a couple of the guys, Chris Tree, Pipe Tree, and Tim, Hermit Piper, who you all know of course. It's only fairly recently, I believe, available in Western Europe. Traditionally it's only really been sold in the Asian Pacific markets, I believe, but fairly recently it's come to, well, certainly fairly recently it's come to, at least I think recently, come to a particular German vendor, which we all know and love. And that is this stuff, Pesse Canoe. So it's named after the place in the Netherlands where the canoe of the same name was dug up in 1955, and the available range currently from Estevals is the Oriental, the 20% Latakia, and what I'm going to be trying today, which is the 40% Latakia. So there are a few video reviews of this on the tube, but I figured I'd add to it because there aren't that many, and it's certainly not something. If you go on to tobaccoreviews.com, which I shall do in a moment when I read the ingredients to you, there isn't anything really about it. Now, I'm not ordinarily a Balkan fan, or a fan particularly of Latakia or Oriental tobaccos, as it happens. I'm much more of a Virginia Burley kind of bloke, always have been. But it being the winter months and it getting a bit chilly, I find myself kind of wanting that campfire feel when I have a smoke. And actually the Balkan blends in general, with the that sort of sourness of the Orientals and stuff like that, have really been ticking a box for me recently. So I figured I'd get a few more blends that I hadn't tried and give some a go. So yeah. Now, first thing that everybody will tell you about this tobacco comes in these kind of Altoid type tins. Which means they are not airtight. Now, I've already opened and jarred the 40%. I have not yet done so with the 20 or the Oriental Flake, but as you will see on the 20 here, they just come with a little plastic bit of film around the top, around the side, sorry, to prevent it from opening. But there's no air seal there at all. So consequently, as you would expect, the tobacco is drier than a nun's chuff. And that is the reason why I jarred the 40% straight away into a Kilner jar. I put a little makeup pad on the top with a bit of distilled water on it. So hopefully get that hydrated a little bit. Now, all of the tobacco that's in these blends is grown in Turkey. It's not grown anywhere else. And I believe it's all Izmir, and bear with me, I'm going to consult tobacco reviews here. It's all Izmir leaf. Here comes the dog. And I believe there was potentially from somewhere else as well. Now, tobacco reviews also does say it's got some kind of plum or other topping on it, so it's not all pure tobacco by all accounts. It could be construed as being an aromatic. Do you need to get up there? Go on then, Pop. There we go. Let's just move the water we can. Come on, what do you get? Come on. Okay, do your thing then. So yeah, Izmir grown tobacco, even the Virginias apparently, and the Latakia itself is Izmir as well, from what I understand. Now I'm going to be smoking in a cob because, well, I haven't smoked cob for a very long time. So the flakes, as you can see, I'll show you one of the flakes. These are really thick flakes, really thick flakes. And they're quite brittle, as I say, they're quite dry. But you're not folding and stuffing this flake. It's far too thick for that. So I think it's going to be a case of rubbing this one out, which is what I should do. And still, I mean, it's been in the jar since yesterday, so it's not going to have absorbed much moisture since then. Let's crumble some up here in my little bowl. Now, smell-wise, I have to say, it does smell quite sweet and quite fruity for a tobacco which has got so much Latakia in it. Now, I was a little bit not put off, but cautious about the fact that this is the 40% Latakia. But actually, I was smoking for the first time yesterday Bill Bailey's Balkan Blend, which I shall do a review of fairly soon, which also has 40% Latakia, and it was really rather good. So there we go. Crumble it up. It's fairly thick cut leaf, thick cut and pressed leaf. So not only are the flakes really fat and thick, but so is the leaf that it's comprised of, as you'd expect. Now that's sort of crumbling up into, yeah, fairly kind of dry, sort of crumbly stuff, but that's okay. That hopefully means it's going to burn quite well. So let's fill up the old cob here. And I'm just going to go and let the dog back in. Go on, Pop. And I'm not going to pack it too tightly. And unfortunately, I've misplaced my gas lighter, so I'm going to have to use a Zippo on this. And I'm not a huge fan of Zippos because they do tend to flavour. I do tend to kind of taste the lighter fluid, but still, let's give it a go. The old country gentleman with a forever stem that I think probably would have featured in some of my videos many years ago. Maybe the flame on my Zippo is pretty weak because the wick is quite short, but it's not catching well. There we go. Right. Oh, that's nice. So yeah, so from what I was reading, this is actually a replica or a kind of re-release of the kind of tobacco that was very popular in Turkey from about the 1950s onwards. Quite why it's called Pesse Canoe, I have no idea. What the relationship is there, I have no idea. And it has to be said, right off the bat, that is a lot smoother than I anticipated it would be. That smokiness from the Latakia is far less harsh than and forward than you would think, with it being a 40% blend. Nothing like a Cypriot Latakia, for example. Actually, there is a sweetness. Even the Orientals in it as well are really quite on the mild side. They're not too sour. Difficult one. Wow. I'm definitely getting a bit of fruitiness there. So maybe it has got some kind of plum topping or something. Because there's definitely a sweetness there. It could be a natural sweetness from the Virginias, or it could be the topping. Beautiful thick smoke. Bit of spice on the retrohale. But again, not nearly as much as I would anticipate it being, supposedly quite a heavy blend of the Orientals and the Latakia. Really smooth, really, really smooth. Well, I have to say that is really a surprise, really surprising. Now, I think one of the reasons why I'm not usually a huge fan of either Balkan blends or anything which is got a huge amount of or any Oriental in fact in it, and Latakia is that smokiness, that kind of campfire smell. Excuse me. I generally like my tobacco to taste like tobacco, not taste like a campfire. But it's just a personal preference. I also don't really like peaty whiskies, so there's probably, a correlation there somewhere. But that is unlike anything of its ilk that I've ever had. Wow, blimey. Well, I tell you what, rather than you sitting here watching me smoke for the next 30 minutes, I'll pause the video here, and I'll come back when I'm halfway through the bowl or getting towards the bottom of the bowl. In the meantime, catch you in a bit. Blink of an eye for you, but 20 minutes, half an hour for me. Right, well, I'm about halfway through the bowl now. I tell you what as well, after you get past that first sort of quarter or so, the fruitiness, there is definitely some kind of really sweet plum kind of flavour coming through, which is really unusual. So yeah, this is definitely not your average Balkan blend. While I'm here, I'm going to give a little shout out to Stephen of I'm a Wrench. I was just watching one of his videos this morning actually, which is one of the reasons I ended up smoking a cob, because he's just done his 10-year anniversary on YouTube. So congratulations on that, Stephen. I think Stephen was definitely one of the people that I kind of connected with very, very early on when I first started a channel myself. And I was just going back through mine earlier on to see when I started, and I think my first video, when I called myself Mr. Middle Finger, then to become Leo Olderbold, and now the ambulatory anarchist. I think that first video was almost 10 years ago. YouTube's saying 9 years, but it was done in the winter, and it was in a woodland somewhere in Devon. And I'm fairly sure that when we get into the early part of 2025, it'll tick into 10 years then. In actual fact, I'm certain of it because I've got some Jermaine's Special Latakia flake, which I bought that very same year and have put a date on. Which I'm only going to open when it's 10 years old. So, yeah, congratulations, Stephen, on 10 years. It does fly by, as the immortal words of Pink Floyd go. And then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. Well, I'm super impressed with this tobacco. Really, really impressed. I'm glad it's not well known, but I'm sure that's not going to be the case for long, because I have seen a few people in the States reviewing it already. So it is making its way over there. But honestly, yeah, from my point of view, from somebody who is not really a Balkan smoker very much, or an Oriental smoker or Latakia smoker even, the 40% Latakia is beautiful, fruity, smooth, not very spicy at all, like I would or sour, like I'd expect something which has got Orientals in it to be. In actual fact, I'm not getting any sourness at all from this. Now, it might be because I'm smoking it in a cob, and of course, cobs are renowned for always making the tobacco taste a little sweeter. So maybe it's something to do with the pipe. I shall have a go in a different pipe in due course and share my thoughts then. Well, if you do have the opportunity to get some, I would strongly recommend you try it. Even if you are, like myself, not hugely given to the Balkans in general. Burning down to a really nice fine ash, but I would expect that with a tobacco as dry as this. And actually, because it's Christmas, I'm going to finish this off with a nice drop of 12-year-old single malt, the Singleton. Because I feel that it deserves it. Just a wee gram. I won't be going heavy on this bottle because it's, well, I got it reduced in the Christmas sales, but it's usually about 40 quid a bottle. Oh my gosh, that's good. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful pairing. Oh, it has to be said, we have to count our blessings in life, because you never know when you will cease to have them. God knows, with everything else going on in the world, we have to be grateful for what we have. And at this moment, I am extremely grateful of some very, very fine and unique tobacco, and a very good Speyside single malt. And on that note, take care, folks. I'll see you all again when I do another review of the next round. Take care.